He's ready, right? Should I know? Yeah. Okay, colleagues, please have a seat. We're about to start. So thank you for attending this session. This is thematic solution forum number 9. It will be about South-South and triangle cooperation in promoting green growth and sustainable cities, sustainable urban industrial development along the Belt and Road Initiative. This is organized by the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, and the UN Office for South-South Cooperation. Thank you. Over to you, moderator.
To keep everyone still awake in the afternoon, let us do something. Let us stand up. Say hello to everyone. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, friends, it is my honor to moderate this session, the sustainable city around the Belt and Road and more and beyond. My name is Wei Gong. I'm the senior coordinator for South-South Triangle Cooperation at UNIDO. Allow me to introduce the panel. On my right, Ms. Sabine Oehler from Vienna Business Agency. And on my further right is Mr. Sergio from the Port Trieste. The last is Carlo from the Central European Initiative. On my left is Madame Lord Mayor from Banua, Baju, Gambia. And Madame does not feel well due to the long journey. And still, she's sitting here with us, share the development experience under her leadership in the city. On my further left is Madame Ro, head of House and Lands and in the United Nations Economic Commission Europe. Maybe you need wave your hand. Last, you can see the gentleman, the additional secretary from governments of Bangladesh. Now we start the session. Basically, the session consists of 2 parts. First part, we the case cities which were identified and selected in the process of conducting the Bridge for City, which is a UNIDO flagship event. They share their experience. Here, the case cities consist of 4. One is Vienna, Austria. One is Trieste, Italy. And another 2 from China. One is Shanghai. One is Chengdu. Due to some limits, Shanghai and Chengdu are not available. And today, I will present briefly their case. The first part, case city. Second part, to see the global view, how the sustainable city practice in Africa and other countries, in Asia, and also from the UN aspect, broader view. So Therefore, the seating arranged in this way for your easy identification and later communication. Okay, let's give the floor to first speaker.
Thank you, Chair, distinguished authorities, dear colleagues. It's obviously a great honor and pleasure to participate also this afternoon to this session, and thank you for the invitation on behalf of a Central European initiative and the entire region of Friuli-Venezia Giulia, an Italian region situated on the northeastern part of Italy at the border between Austria and Slovenia. While I'm honored to accept this invitation personally, I'm keen to point out that my presence here today recognizes the work of many for regional economic developments in part of in our macro region. And I would like to express my gratitude on their behalf to UNIDO and to the Office of South-South Cooperation. The Central European Initiative, the organization I represented here today, was founded in Budapest in 1999, and it is a regional intergovernmental forum committed to supporting European integration and sustainable development. While acting as a platform for political dialogue, DCI has developed a strong operational result-oriented approach to regional cooperation. It combines a multilateral diplomacy and fund, program and project management as both donor and recipients. CI also holds an observer status in the UN General Assembly. Friuli-Venezia Giulia is a strategic region in the heart of Europe, situated at the crossroads of major transportation routes and renowned for a multicultural and economic dynamism. Historically, the city, Trieste, is a bridge between West and East Europe and a platform for towards the Mediterranean area. In many occasions, the international relations of the region play their own specific role in the national and international relation and in scenario in order to contribute to the stability of the Western Balkans. CI and Friuli-Venezia Giulia was the only local administration who has been present at the launch of the opening in Beijing in 1916 for the Belt and Road Forum. As far as the economic concern, Generali, Allianz, Ili Cafe, Fincantieri are just some of the international players with the headquarters in the area. In our region, we are aware that the economic growth and innovation does not happen in the vacuum. It is closely linked to local conditions where key drivers are the complex interaction between economy, science, and academia, and a constant and human diversity. In response to new forces which try to reshape the global investment landscape, we are surely aware of the necessity to adopt an even more comprehensive and systematic approach with the triangular cooperation is one on the best example. In our cases, this systematic approach for improving and the investment condition should include implementing policies to foster a sustainable and rule-based connectivity, the promotion of skills that are essential for a more resilient economy, a more inclusive society, and contribute to closing the inequality gaps that have been widened during the recent crisis. In this concept, regional collaboration on investment policies can also open up an economy of scale, and Trieste and Friuli-Venezia Giulia are a good example of it as being chosen by UNIDO to be present in Vienna on this basis. Infrastructure investment made by the national and regional governments in this region is indeed a case point. Many productive areas were landlocked and cannot efficiently reach the ports without a cross-border road and rail connections. Others are too small to develop ICT networks, as some potential infrastructure resources cannot be developed by countries or cities in isolation. In all of these cases, aligning rail and maritime policies with a substantial proposal can make a huge difference for unlocking investment in infrastructure projects. For this reason, the port of Trieste has now become the most international-oriented port in Italy. My colleague here today will deepen this aspect of the port. Trieste and the region, it is at the crossroads of the European corridors, which links Italy towards Slovenia, Hungary, and with the North Adriatic route to the Baltic Seas. But all the local stakeholders are aware of their future is strictly connected to power of innovation. And indeed, also small regions with a great potential can play an essential role in trilateral cooperation, especially regarding research of innovation. Trieste is home of many prestigious scientific institutions, research infrastructures, and the presence of several research centers is also reflected in the huge number of highly qualified students and graduates, and their number represent the best score at national level. Thanks to the presence of this institution, Friuli Venezia Giulia also leads the Italian region ranking for the number of enterprises we introduce technical innovation in product and process. But many challenges, such as ICT and big data, life sciences, or sustainable transport, they affected us all. And while many of these challenges can be seen more local or regional, they all have already crossed our boundaries and have a widespread impact. That's why in Trieste we have tried to concentrate to a value chain analysis on the combination of these three basic resources, the relation between city and port, technology, and human capital. These elements already present in our context but are poorly interconnected, are now deeply interconnected. I will let the floor to the other panelists in order to receive maybe the more questions after this section. But I would like to conclude that I'm aware that together with the support to UNIDO and the South-South Cooperation Initiative, we have already achieved a lot. But we are only at the beginning of many opportunities, especially in this part of Europe, remains to the sides. We need more international cooperation and more international trade to address these challenges. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Carlo. You are some powerful timekeeper. Now, surgery floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the President of the Port Network Authority of the Eastern Adriatic Sea, a warm thank you to UNIDO for this opportunity. And of course, thanks also to the Central European Initiative. Grazie, Carlo, for the invitation. I take you now again to the Mediterranean Basin, and more specifically to the Adriatic Sea. Can I have thank you. A natural infrastructure which has been allowing for millennia both trade and sometimes also divisions, unfortunately. At the northeastern tip of the Adriatic Sea sit the two cities of Trieste and of Monfalcone, the latter probably known to shipbuilders and cruise ship owners for its yards of excellency. A crossroad of cultures, has been said, peoples, languages, the Latin, the German, and the Slavic ones. Approximately 300 years ago, a small coastal town of fishermen, also preoccupied on a daily basis with the trade of the so-called white gold, salt, received the interest and attentions of the Habsburg of Austria and Hungary. Investments started to flow into the city and throughout infrastructural, physical infrastructures, and thanks to the granting of a free zone regime that is still in place today, the place recognized a demographic boom. In the 19th century, the railway appeared, and the first industrial revolution took place in the area as well. In the contrary, on the 20th century, unfortunately, with its loads of hatred, violence, ideologies, nationalism that pulled us all down into two world wars, that implied a freezing of trades along the Adriatic Sea route. After the Second World War, followed a period of Cold War. Trades kept alive somehow, also with smuggling activities and illegal trafficking between the two blocks. Some coastal cities like Trieste suffered from this and suffer from isolation from the natural hinterland, so the Central and Eastern European countries in Europe. A shame that came to an end with the fall of the Berlin Wall and the fall of the Iron Curtain between the Western and Eastern Bloc in European countries. And subsequently, in the 90s, we testified the Pacific enlargement process of the European Union eastward into former failed or about to fail states. A renewed spirit translated into economic growth, peculiarly vibrant in Central and Eastern countries of Europe, also promoted by concrete actions and measures taken by the European Union institutions and other international organizations. Trades and industry favored by infrastructures and lower costs of labors with high skills began to expand and are now facing new challenges posed by the so-called third industrial revolution and waiting or expected fourth industrial revolution. Nowadays, and according to the current European and Italian legislative frameworks, Italian ports are public goods administered by national agencies, which I have the honor here today to represent, entrusted with a series of powers and resources. Together with other key players and stakeholders, both in the public and private sectors, the port network authorities seek for a sustainable growth in traffic, in employment, in income and welfare, in technological innovation, and for a transformation of coastal industries with respect to the requirements also set by local communities and by the natural environment. A port network authority is a one-stop shop that enforces a set of rules determined at international, European, national, regional levels, and especially with regard to port and industrial activities and operations, labor and environment. In fact, everywhere in the world, ports are agents of commerce and theaters for cultural exchanges among people. But not all the ports in the world are also witnessing the localization or transformation, as in the case of Trieste port, of coastal industries into districts dedicated to research and development and to innovation. In Trieste and Monfalcone, we strive to empowering supply chain networks throughout public and private investments, and we strive to promoting an industrial shift towards the so-called Industry 4.0. I will, given the time constraints, I will not deepen my explanations on the slides that you're seeing on the screens, but I remain at your full disposal at the end of this panel for any questions or inquiry. To come to provisional remarks, we are not and shall not be blind, though, here. The ongoing globalization process that freed from poverty millions of individuals around the globe does also present some threats. I here refer to the increasing sense of exposure to the elements, a sense of widespreading insecurity in an increasing number of individuals around the world, at least in the so-called Western part of the world. Polarization of wealth, regression of many in the middle class, the losing power, purchasing power of many, are all emerging facts that, if not understood and reacted upon, might translate into defensive, identitarian reactions. Protectionism, the risk is that from open societies we go back into closing ones. All of the above mentioned undesired outcomes may translate in the middle run in reduced prosperity for all. Therefore, in conclusion, yes, let's fully exploit the potential of the networks, and let's be fully open and committed to legit collaborations according to existing standards in trade and in industry. But let's increase the effort to counterbalance the animal spirits within the markets, fostering agreed standards and compensations for the protection of workers and of individuals in a broader sense, and for the protection of the environment, which are all, as I understood, sustainable development goals on a global scale, as those carried and pushed forward by the United Nations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sergio. As we know, more than 50% of world population live in the cities. It means more than 50% of consumptions, infrastructures, intensity of investment should take place also in the city. That was the reason why do we focus on city first when we talk about advancing to achieve the SDG. So there are more than 23 up to now systematic definition of different cities, style of cities, smart city, sustainable city, knowledge city, and whichever, park city, livable city. UNIDO has consolidated all definitions, studied all consolidations in one main focus, the SDG Goal 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. In the umbrella of SDG, we consolidated one definition for urban, industry, associates, city definition. So in the umbrella of this definition, we identify the hard aspect of those indexes in the definition of city and the soft aspect. That's why when we talk about city development, we have infrastructures. And what other aspect? Soft. Why soft play key roles? Let us listen to the experience of Vienna. First yours, Sabina. On the way, Sabina, on her way there, in the beginning, I have saved time to not introduce with a big block of information on individuals, speakers' biography. So you, in your hand, you can see the biography of each of them. So if not available with you, please access to the organizing committee. It's available. Okay, floor is yours, Sabina.
I hope this works. Does it work? Okay. Thank you, Weishi. It is my true honor and privilege and also pleasure to be here today. Thank you for the invitation. And it's my honor and privilege to introduce Vienna. So to wake you up a little bit, we all appreciate you here so late and hanging out with us. We want to make it worth your while. And I want you to take you through what makes Vienna the most livable city in the world. And how, with this having been nominated the most livable cities for the last 9 years by the Mertha Studies, and recently also by The Economist, how can we stay on top? What are the challenges and how can we meet them? So just mention these frequent rankings as the most world livable cities really have raised interest from around the world. It also has increased influx of people. So the city is challenged with, over the last decades, we have about 400,000 people that came to Vienna to live in Vienna. And the challenge for the city is to stay on top, the most livable city, even in future years. Now you all heard the most wonderful things about Vienna, the city of music. And who doesn't like the white horses, the Lipizan horses? It's located central in Europe and offers all the beauty, the safety, the stability, and many more features that makes it the most livable city. But what does make an attractive investment location? So let's look at that. We keep talking about the best quality of life worldwide. What is that? What is the definition of best quality of life? It is first and foremost stability. And that is in a legal, political, social context, in an economic context. It is also strategic location in Europe. Within 3 hours, you can reach all of Europe's capital cities. So that's important for a company that makes its investment decision to move the European headquarters to Vienna. Within 3 hours, you can reach all of Europe, Central, Eastern especially. We in Vienna, we really appreciate the top infrastructure, and with that I mean the public transportation system. I'll get to talk about this in a second, but also the transport connections. I'd like to highlight the about 200 direct flight connections we have worldwide. And if you, most of you in this room, just like me, travel a lot, you can appreciate if it takes less than half an hour to get to the airport, in and out. So you spend less time commuting, and if you have to service Europe, your staff will appreciate that efficiency as well. Vienna is also internationally diverse, culturally diverse. Yeah, you do not need to speak German when you live in Vienna. We have a very substantial international headquarters location, so that adds to the international diversity. We have the UNIDO, the Atomic Organization, and about 30 others international organizations in Vienna. With that came top talent, top university city. Vienna is the leading university city in the German-speaking world, with about 14 universities, roughly 200,000 students. And with that, we're topping even Berlin. So, and having said all that is offered to you at a comparatively low cost of living, if you look at London, if you look at Paris. But of course, having said all that, Vienna also does face some challenges, and most is attributed to the rapid growth. As I mentioned before, we're currently at about 1.9 million. 400,000 people were added over the last couple of decades, and we're forecasted to hit the 2 million in the next couple of years. How do we keep the best quality of life, even at 2 million and beyond? Because the challenge is, well, the demand will grow for affordable housing, the impact on public transportation at the same quality, at the same cost, while at the same time the protection of resources, and of course adding population means aging population, so which will have an impact on the cost of healthcare system. Our solution is this, the Vienna Smart City strategy. Now you might say, well, okay, we heard that before. Lots of cities have a smart city strategy. What's so special about Vienna? I want to put this in a nutshell. Vienna started as early as 2011 on mapping out the smart city strategy, which really acts as a framework and touching on many different aspects. We can see digital, innovation, waste management, social housing, and so forth. And in a nutshell, the core objective of Vienna Smart City strategy is to put the quality of life for each citizen first, while at the same time minimizing the consumption of resources, and that is achieved through implementation of innovation. So citizen first, best quality of life for citizens, while minimizing resource consumption through the use of innovation. And let me zoom in on a couple of thoughts, and I know I'm sticking to my time schedule still. So definition for quality of life, ensuring quality of life for Vienna means stability. I mentioned this at the beginning. Stability in all way, and that is achieved through inclusion, equal opportunities, accessibility to service of general interest. With that, I mean access to affordable and the best quality water, electricity, public transportation, affordable housing, and so forth. So that is paramount. And I want to zoom in, before I close out, I want to zoom in on two aspects which are very unique to Vienna, which is on one hand the public transportation system, and second social housing. Social housing is interesting because this is a system that goes back about 100 years ago almost. This was initiated in the 1920s after World War I due to the dire housing crisis in Vienna. So now, in the meantime, having started even then, Vienna is the world's largest landlord. The city of Vienna owns over 220,000 apartments which are subsidized by the city, aimed at the lower and middle-income class, to ensure the stability, social stability in the city, to avoid its ghettos in any shape or form. And that really is a main contributor to the stability in the city. And the second thought I want to point out is the public transportation system. Just to give you a thought, on modal split. That is the choice of the mode of transportation people make. And right now, as of 2015, this data is 39% of Viennese use public transportation. 27% use private cars. and then it goes on for walking, pedestrian, and cycling. That has switched around. The percentage from the private cars and public transportation has entirely flipped around. Why is that? Because the city invested heavily in public transportation, in cycling roads. And just to give you one example for how do you make the services accessible and affordable and convenient to the population so they accept it is the city issued since 2012 a €365 public transportation pass. Annual transportation pass. So for €1 a day, you can use all transportation. By now, about 800,000 out of 1.9 million people in Vienna have such a annual public transportation pass. That's over 40%. And why is this important going forward? Looking into other cities with growing wealth, people want to have a car, people want to get around. So this is one incentive that you offer to your population. They say, okay, I don't need my car. We can save all these CO2 emissions. It's convenient and it's safe. And my closing thought for this is, for this all to happen, for this quality of life being offered by the city, it's paramount that the services stay in public hands. That it's the city who offers all these publicly services like water, like transportation, like electricity. Otherwise, it's always going to be a conflict of interest with the private sector. That's my closing thought, and I look forward to your questions and discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sabina, for the wonderful freestyle presentation, and it's very dynamic. Thank you very much. We learned from the Vienna side, from Trieste side. As I mentioned before, as case cities, we have Shanghai and Chengdu from China. I present their cases, and in the short, concise style, basically from 3 angles. One is what is the city basics, and second, what is the challenges, opportunity, and third one, what in the development of UNECE. And in the working process for Bridge for City, which UNECE is the flagship event, takes place once a year. We work together with all cities to assess the challenges, to assess the cities. As mentioned before, each city identifies themselves differently. Park city, livable city, sustainable city. What is the key message? Shanghai focus on smart city. Why? They have more than 1,500 financial institutions. They have 13 national level financial institutions. They have the largest stock market in China and the 4th largest stock market in the world. So they are focused with the more than 24 million population. How could they live together with high quality of life? So they have to be smart. This is the principle. They have to be scientifically and logically utilize very scarce of resources. That is the reason behind. In the process of this identification and assessment, what we are focused on, and together with the city of Shanghai, is focused on what are the basic factors, factor-driven, the economic factor, the land, level, and also other institutional resources. And what do they want to achieve in an innovative way? And they identify themselves as a center of national innovation. They identify them as the center of national financial institutions. So from that angle, they identify the gap. And the gap is there for them, is driving force. So in the process, we identify what UNECE could help them to achieve their targets. Basically, we promote smart startup entrepreneurship development, force the entrepreneurship, and through different methodologies, even business plan competitions among all smart city associated entrepreneurs involved, make the investors involved from very beginning. So all projects identified by UNIDO in the process are bankable. A bankable project means partnership, public-private partnership could be formed easily, recognized by all sides. So this is what we have done, what we have helped the city to achieve their goals. In terms of Chengdu, they identify themselves as a park city. As we know, in the end of 18th century, the garden city strategy was concept was raised up. But there's a park city. There's no concept parks in the world up to now. Recently, this 2018, the President Xi Jinping of China proposed a park city concept, and nobody knows what is the contents. So the city established a research institution to study what and define what is the park city. And we, UNIDO, work with them to define, make the park city defined and with a measurable context system, and to help them to achieve their goal. Of course, a long way to go. However, we position it is in the way to meet the satisfaction of the 60 million population there. City Chengdu, as you know, is the hometown of panda. They are proud of. They have more than 4,000 year history, the civilization. They're proud of it, and now they are. In the past year, they became the center of logistics, the third center of logistics in China, and the commercial center, financial center in the West China. So, in achieving the park city, it means the people should not only live in the park, should be productive, should be sustainable, should be also in the way that the standard of life be kept. So this is also same challenge as others. In the process, you need to involve to identify the same. What is the entry point to leverage the whole source available to achieve the park city goal? Because we know for city development, one key element is what? It's money. You have different definition goals. If you do not have money, you cannot do it. Many cities in the rapid development process, they are lack of money, as any other cities. Where is the starting point? This is UNIDO's contribution. We identify where is the entry point to achieve their goal of development. So basically, I conclude this presentation for the two cities and from different angles. First, we assess what are the demand-driven approach in the city development. Second, we identify what are the most relevant sectors for them to achieve their goals. We organize the roadshow and business plan competition, make all cities in the relevant sectors involved. And third, we organize all cities involved, decision-maker, stakeholders, to be in a position to support this strategy, to make a more enabling environment to achieve the strategy. That is a contribution of UNIDO. So I finished basically as the role of presenter of 2 cities. We go to next block of this session. This is the global view from different regions of the world. Let me give the floor to Madame Lohe Malik Luf, Land Mayor of Banjul, Gambia. Floor is yours, Madame.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chairman, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Firstly, I would like to seize this opportunity and thank the UN for hosting this event, which comes at a time when urban development is at the top of the agenda in most developing nations, especially in Africa. It is with great joy that I stand before you today at this honorable international house to make this short statement before this august body. Mr. Chairman, as the first elected woman mayor of my country, the Gambia, I am most honored. When I took the oath of office and assessed the viability of Banjul, the capital city of the Gambia, I knew that I needed to take decisive steps, however unpopular, to turn our city around. The people of Banjul are counting on my office to chart a different course and to bring a much-needed development to our great city. That is why the Council and I are working on innovative strategies in order to effectively address the many needs of our city. The general and crucial issues that impact my great humble city are on the development in areas such as education and health, especially in women and girls, infrastructural and information developments, sanitation management, flooding, and food insecurity. While these areas seem insurmountable, the city of Banjul serves as a perfect landscape for potential projects to be incorporated from the best practices that have been learned from Trieste, Shanghai, and Vienna, to name a few, due to its size and government openness. Mr. Chairman, therefore, we seek public and private sector partnership in terms of resources and expertise that will help us tackle these major issues so that Banjul can move towards the path of developing a sustainable urban industry. This comes with investing in our people and developing our human capital by strengthening our education system and introducing STEM education as a key driver to social change and economic transformation. The focus to expand productive employment and technology capacity in the manufacturing sector is in order to promote agro-based industrial development for exports. Reform of the Banjul seaport is to ensure its competitiveness by strengthening the position of the port of Banjul, by improving the port handling services and expansion of infrastructure with new technologies and machinery serves as a gateway to the region and beyond. In Gambian society, patriarchy is dominant, which hinders women and girls from actively participating in certain sectors and at certain levels of the development process of the country. Women, lack of ownership in agriculture, especially in land and finances, is also cause for concern, despite their predominant role in farming and economic activities. Mr. Chairman, dear colleagues, as first woman mayor of the great city of Banjul, I believe that it is equally important that we work to develop preventive programs and strategies to economically empower women via microfinancing. We must work to give women and girls access to resources that will enable them, their children and families to reach their full human potential. If they do, Mr. Chairman, life for everyone in the Gambia society will improve. Women and girls must have options to determine their own lives through education, the opening of their own businesses, and serving as community leaders. My distinguished colleagues, these initiatives will bring about a much-needed plan for the human development of my great city and its path towards sustainability. Finally, Mr. Chairman, dear colleagues, it is my desire to see that our governments integrate the SDGs into our national development plans and policies. On that note, Mr. Chairman and colleagues, I thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Madam Lord Mayor. Excellent, excellent. We are honored to have a chance to learn from you, the comprehensive picture of the city management under your leadership, to see the comprehensive challenges from all angles. You have touched not only the hard infrastructure, what we call, and also soft aspect, particularly as the first elected woman mayor in the country, capital city. It is an honor for women. You have also your specific perception and methodologies to empower women in the society, in the urban developments. You emphasize urban industrial developments. I'm sure from UNIDO aspect, from UN as a whole, we are definitely in the position to work with your city, with your country. Let us join hands to make all schedules, targets in your city gradually achieved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let us listen to how the United Nations European Commission and Madame Rowe, Head of Housing and Land Management, speak. Floor is yours, Madame.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I would like to use this opportunity to thank UNIDO, to thank the Office for South-South Cooperation for the invitation possibility to speak here. I would like probably to continue discussing that I think it was really a very inspiring presentation that you made, the Mayor of Banjul, because we at the UN, of course, at the UN regional commissions, we are working with many governments, national governments and local governments, and the needs and priorities of the cities, of national governments like yours, definitely something what we are trying to discuss, how we can help the most efficient way, the most effective way to resolve, to address, to build capacities, to work together with many other UN agencies. And of course, in different countries, there are different strategies, but I think that I believe UN by today, through the cooperation between different UN agencies, and I think this very interesting panel definitely is one of the examples of it, where so many different organizations discussing together how to resolve urban challenges. So we at the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, which brings together 56 member states, As you see at the map, it is, this region includes very developed countries from US, Canada, Western Europe to Eastern Europe to Central Asia and Caucasus. And this big region has a big diversity of urban problems. However, many of them are very similar ones because there are traditional issues of rapid urbanization, which brings issues of transport, work, affordability of housing, which is one of the key issues in this region, to the issues of the environment, climate change, natural disasters, and the issues of the future, for instance, those connected to the digital technologies, for instance. So, and we're working together with our member states, 56 countries, to address these issues at the national level and also the local level. And we're not alone because, well, our regional commission addresses these issues in this wider Europe region. We're working together with four other sister regional commissions, Regional Commission for Africa, Economic Social Commission for Asia Pacific, Economic Commission for Latin America and Caribbean, Economic Social Commission for Western Asia, and we work together, actually exchange a lot of information. So there is very many different projects on the South-South cooperation, on the triangular cooperation, which focus on research and analysis situation. And I think what was explained, for instance, in the case of Shanghai, I think this is also very much relevant to many, many projects that our regional commissions are implementing, that we always start with analysis of situations through the discussion with the stakeholders. So research and analysis is very, very important in order to develop decisions. It's very important to develop partnerships and stakeholder consultations, but also convene high-level policy dialogues to ensure that actually decisions are made and policy goals are achieved. And also the regional commissions are working on many capacity-building activities across the region. Of course, the priority today is implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, as well as in an integrated manner of other global agreements, such as Sendai Agreement, as a Paris Climate Change Agreement, very importantly, Addis Ababa Action Plan for Financing for Development. So we're working together in order to ensure that all the principles of these global agreements are integrated in the national frameworks, that there is all the policies, different thematic policies are integrated, that we have also evidence-based policies, so that any policies actually are based on the relevant data, and also when we are actually implementing the policy, we are also having evidence and we know if we achieved actually the goal. So this evidence-based policies is something which is very important also in our work, and we work very closely with the governments. The last but not the least, the innovative financing is very important. And in our region, in the UNECE region, the innovative financing is very important because this is a region where most of the urban infrastructure was built in 50s, 70s, 60s, 70s. And it massively requires a renovation. And of course, after the financial crisis of 2008, the financing of the governments is very limited. And this is where, like many other UN agencies, we're actually also working on the PPPs, but not just PPPs, but people-centered PPPs. So we're really working to ensure that the quality of life, the human dimension of development of this infrastructure is in the center of this discussion. This is done, for instance, also through development of the regional frameworks. For instance, in the UN Economic Commission for Europe region, Geneva UN Charter for Sustainable Housing is a document which was developed by the governments and was adopted in 2015. It's a very integrated document looking at the environmental aspects, economic, social, and cultural aspects. And it stresses the importance of this integrated approach to ensure the quality of life of the population. It's looking at the affordable housing, about sustainable cities. It's also establishes the principles for effective policies for sustainable development at the local and national level. to implement the global agreements and the regional agreements, UNECE, ITU, and also 15 other UN agencies developed a joint program of the United for Smart Sustainable Cities, and also the UNECE and OER, an organization in Vienna, we developed a project on United Smart Cities. The United for Smart Sustainable Cities program developed actually a very comprehensive set of indicators. It's a key performance indicators for smart sustainable cities, which are based on the indicators of the 2030 agenda of the SDGs, and it allows exactly to develop a good analysis of the situation in the cities. And then, based on this, through the participation of the stakeholders, through the political dialogue, to develop very concrete action plans and also the projects for the cities. So this is one of the examples, for instance. So in a small city of Armenia, Goris, we developed a smart sustainable city profile. So we used the indicators for smart sustainable cities. Then we conducted stakeholder involvement to discuss the analysis and also to establish the priorities and to develop action plans. Our sister commission, also on the smart sustainable city topic, for instance, is also working with the Smart Dubai projects on the smart sustainable cities, where developed projects on the infrastructure, data coordination, enabling layer and application layer. And then this analysis is also used in Morocco to promote smart sustainable cities. So this is a very good example also of the triangle cooperation, as well as what UNECE is doing in Armenia, where actually the smart sustainable indicators were used in cooperation with experts, for instance, from Austria. And there are many, many other these kind of examples. So, for instance, I will bring you one example in ASTANA, in Kazakhstan, where we're also using the same approach of the applying of the key performance indicators for a smart development of smart sustainable district. So this is a district with old residential stock, which requires renovation. So what we're doing is through the cooperation with other governments. For instance, we have experts from Portugal, from Germany, from Austria, who are coming to Kazakhstan and working together with the national government of Kazakhstan and also with the local authorities of the city of Astana, and also with a whole big group of the UN agencies to redevelop this residential district and to develop a PPP approach to bring the private investment into the renovation of this residential area. And we really hope that this pilot project will be successful, and there is also already many, many regions in Kazakhstan, but also in many other countries are looking for these experiences. So we're going to use it also in our other countries and regions in the UNC region. So basically, to conclude, I just would like probably to stress something what the Vienna said and what the Mr. Chairman also said, that the smart cities, the smart sustainable cities really is about quality of life. This is really about the integration of the social, economic, environmental, and cultural aspects, and we always need to look into this through this integrated approach, through using of the South-South and triangle cooperation, bringing really the experts from different countries, but also having the multi-stakeholder approach. We will be having a very big event about cities, so I would like to use the opportunity to invite you. So on the 8th of April 2019 in Geneva, we are organizing a Day of Cities, bringing mayors from our region in order to discuss these issues. So I really hope to see you there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gunara. And from your speech, we can learn a lot, very comprehensive. And I want to pick up two words only. One is relevant to Madame Lodemeyer. It's engagement of the government itself. It's the most important. You can see the overall picture. The many happens, it's a frequent happen, unfortunately. the South-South cooperation or even any other developmental cooperation, and something we do something for someone else, which may not be relevant to them. So this is the most important. From Madame Lord Meyer, we can see the engagement, the ownership of the city. That's important. Number one. Number two, it's an opportunity for us to learn the perception of the European cities, different demand-driven approaches, comprehensive, and also, as you said, last but not least, the financial issues. That's, I think, sometimes it's a major issue in many cases. So let us listen to the perception from the other area of the world, the Asia, Bangladesh. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. Respected panelists, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Bangladesh has become eligible to move out of the list of least developed country to a developing nation. Bangladesh is likely to be the biggest mover in the global gross domestic product ranking in 2030, becoming the 26th largest economy in the world from 42nd now. To ensure decent employment for all, along with the aim of sustainable industrial development, Bangladesh government established 8 export processing zones and another 100 economic zones are on the way to set up by 2030. As of a holistic approach for sustainable development, Bangladesh government has also taken leapfrogging steps by initiating some mega projects like Padda Multipurpose Bridge, and with an aim to provide a safe, fast, affordable, and modern means of transportation for the city dwellers. Metro rail project, underwater tunnel, elevated expressway, and bus rapid transit project is going in full swing. The third seaport to support 80 million seaborne trades will be fully operational by 2023. And the 2,400 megawatts nuclear power project has made significant progress. Bangladesh has a total population of 159 million with the labor force of 79 million, which is growing rate is 2.2%. That means every year 1.8 million new entrants coming into the labor market. And 11% of youth, total youth is unemployed, and underemployment labor force is 19%. Towards a solution, Bangladesh government introduced industry-led apprenticeship program, aims to cover 50% of new entrants every year by 2024. Bangladesh also acknowledged the risk of industrial automation, of fourth industrial revolution, and assessed potential job loss to introduce reskilling and upskilling program. Over the past few years, Bangladesh has been engaged in experimenting with new technology options and administrative process to find out the smart method to address the thousands of tons waste management more effectively. Government has able to relocate its most hazardous industry like garments and leather industry outside of the capital city Dhaka. Under the 3R, that means reduction, reuse, and recycling strategy, there are certain policies already taken from government end. By the National Urban Policy, Clean Development Mechanism and recycling have been emphasized. National Renewable Energy Policy is promoting production of biogas and other green energy. National Industrial Policy is recommended use of environmental management system and cleaner production practice among the industries. Some of the private sectors, they have initiated a lot of initiation, activities which is being encouraged, such as the source separation of waste at the household level, community-based urban solid waste management, and composting of waste in slums, and school composting program also. Bangladesh partnered with Partnering for Green Growth, that means P4G, to introduce a sustainable model for green growth. And after observing the operation of 36 industries in Bangladesh, the 3E, Energy Efficient Engagement Program, calculated that the factories could save 60% of energy, 21% of energy cost, and 80% of carbon dioxide emission reduction. The energy cost for annual energy cost will be the 5.2 million annually. And in the last 10 years, number of solar-powered homes increased from 25,000 to 2.8 million, and 114,000 jobs were created as a result of the industry, which has grown up in the manufacturing, installation, and the repair of the solar panels. And our Power Development Board has initiated to build a 60 megawatt wind power plants at Cox's Bazar Sea Beach. We have some innovation regarding the sustainable industrial development. I would like to show some examples. Suppose effluent treatment plant, ETP, is operated to cleaning of water with treatment, each and every industry. But due to the lack of the willingness for industry sector, correct operation and performance monitoring is important. To solve this issue, Access to Information Program, in collaboration with the Department of Environment, launched the Challenge Fund for developing the online monitoring system. Another issue is river water in urban area of Bangladesh is highly polluted due to the river vessels and riverside industry wastes. To monitor river water quality, A2I launched Challenge Fund on developing a system by which river water quality can be monitored using the sensors. To acknowledge the traffic issue and management of the parking space of Dhaka city, A2I at Access to Information Program going to launch an apps named e-parking, where people can find the available parking space in household buildings around the city. Access to Information Program introduced automated vehicle number plate recognition system, where automatic rule violation case and fine slip will send to the address of the car owner along with the email and SMS. And environmental experts estimated that 9 million plastic bags being dumped daily in the city, with only about 10% goes to rubbish bins. Our team collects this, uses polythene, and turns the polythene into the fuel. Aligned with the Belt and Road. The Bangladesh-China, India-Myanmar economic corridor runs from the southern China to Myanmar and is officially classified as closely related to the Belt and Road Initiative. A 2,800 kilometer long economic corridor has been proposed that starts from Kolkata, connecting through India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, and China. The motorable BCIM project has the potential to create many trade facilities, new innovative business, and thus improve economic conditions of South Asian nations, especially the landlocked ones. Bangladesh will always support to make economic corridor a successful urban industrial development hub. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. We all have heard your presentation on the development of the cities in Bangladesh. Though you are from the Ministry of Information Technology, so next round you may focus on information technology application. Sure. So thank you very much. And up to now we have the first round of presentation of all speakers here. You can see the perception and cases from the North countries like cities like Austria, Vienna, Italy, Trieste, and also other cities, Shanghai and Chengdu from developing country, China, and also some cities from Africa, European, and Asian countries. You can see what is the momentum for learning each other. The most important thing is that we are doing South-South triangles today is replication and upscale the experience. We learn each other. Now, floor is yours. For audience, please feel free to have utilize the just a few minutes left. Floor is open. Raise your hands. Please, the gentleman on the identify yourself and question.
Thank you, Chair. I represent the International Bamboo and Rattan Organization. As you know, bamboo is present in many countries in the world. We, the International Bamboo and Rattan Organization, we have 44 member states, most of them from the south. 43 are from the south and 1 is from the north. We have construction projects in Philippines and Ecuador. As you know, the qualities of bamboo for construction are one of the greatest materials for construction. It bends, is good for earthquakes, is a material which can be used in different parts of the world for poverty alleviation, for construction, for building materials. We develop pipelines made of bamboo, which the strength qualities are great. And as you know, the annual international trade in bamboo and rattan products has reached 2 billion. You know, as the chair mentioned earlier, Chengdu, one of the one of the biggest cities in China, has a lot of bamboo. And as you know, as many of you know, pandas eat bamboo. Is good. Is a good source of food also. But as we look forward to work with UNIDO and with other member states from the south to use bamboo for construction and to develop projects together and extend our cooperation between the International Bamboo and Rattan Organization and member states from the south. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bamboo and rattan could be utilized as very important building material and also could definitely play an important role in the city development. And UNIDO is willing, as usual, to work with partners. And of course, INBA is the unique international organization in bamboo sector. Definitely, no doubt. From my end, any questions? Yes, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I'm come from the Central African Republic. We have a plan, a cooperation. I follow the intervention of everyone. I was lucky to travel in some countries that you have introduced today, but when you are in those cities, you dream. The question I would like to ask is: we are in a cooperation setting, a triangular cooperation setting. My question is to see what are the means, the solution, have been taken into account in those countries which have been identified in the panelists that will share with the assistant, those examples, those success? What do you consider? What are your plans to share experience? What are the opportunities that we can learn from you, those experiences to allow us to move forward? I live in my capital. We have a lot of problems. When it's raining, there is a flood, and I'm asking myself, those who were before they are think of to build this city, they did not think about those challenges. I think those things need to be anticipated. We need to ponder over before to build those cities. I think you took those dispositions because we can see those cities that you share in Geneva, for example. This is a dream for us in Shanghai. We're dreaming about it. That's the question. What are those possibilities, the chances that we can also share and learn from you to be in connection with those who are in charge in our countries, the mayors, the ministers, the responsible for construction, to see how can we share those experiences with them. Thank you. That's the question I had.
I invite Madame Lo Meyer give some response. Madame, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, Mr. Chair, I will first give a compliment to the gentleman there with the name Babu. By the way, Babu in my language means crocodile. So good luck with your company. And yeah. And coming back to my brother, thank you very much. That was a very, very genuine comment. And this is also my point of view. I always say that share of experience, of course, costs money. So meaning that developing countries will always be set aside. So in my own opinion, as I always said, the cake is here within ourselves, meaning that all countries have a share of the cake, but the icing concentrate on one side of the wall. So I will take this opportunity to encourage UNIDO, and of course to encourage also UNICEF, UN, and other stakeholders, at least to invest in the developing countries. When I say developing countries, I will start by saying I think the most developing country that needs help today is the Gambia. So please, I'm encouraging UNIDO to come and help Gambia. I think now we have to be very fair if we want this world to develop. We have to concentrate on women and youth empowerment, and also we have to concentrate mostly on developing the developing countries. So it is high time that we stop investing in developed countries and look into the developing countries. Thank you very much, my brother. That was a very, very genuine comment. Thank you.
Please.
Thank you very much. I would like probably to complement, also provide complementary comment. I have implemented actually quite many projects, for instance, in Central Asia, where also we have quite poor countries. And the experience is something what I think Sabina from Vienna also explains, that the long-term perspective is very important. As the long-term partnerships are very important, because in some cases when we see that when investors even are available, very often there is no capacity on ground to actually absorb the financing. There is no organizational structure to accept it. So there is no capacity also for project management or managing the funds or for the planning. That's actually a very, very big issue. And I think from this point of view, this forum is very, very important, because this system of the triangular cooperation, of regular cooperation of partners from different countries and UN organization, other international organization, is very, very important. It has to be long-term. So it's, I think it's very important to look at all these different aspects together, and I think more important, the priority would be the long-term partnership
Thank you very much. Let me give you my quick feedback from when the question raised up to about the development of the brother there, mentioned as the Gambia, Madame Lord Mayor. One term come to my mind. What is the catch-up strategy for developing country to develop themselves? I'm from China. I experienced how China developed 40 years ago as of today. And we should learn, as Madame Ro mentioned, the forum today is a very good opportunity for us to learn. The catch-up strategy, as general speaking, is easy to learn. Please, as a takeaway package today, takeaway package of this session, I mentioned 3 L. First L is linkage. The forum plays a role as a linkage for us. Second L is learning. We learn the case from different countries, from different cities. The third L is leverage. You need to learn the practice of others to leverage your own power to do your own job. Then others can help you. Only you make your own engagement, your own ownership. I'm from China, developing country, with $298 per person per capita 40 years ago. One of the poorest countries in the world. Among the 180 cities, we are around the 150s. So, link learning and leverage. Leverage means you need to pay your own efforts to do their own homework. Then others can help you. Only you can help yourself. You do your job. We should not let it happen. Other people do your job, you do nothing, or you do something else. You do your job, we help you. Like the students in the school, you pass exam, you cannot pass exam if you do not learn. Okay? Brother, listen to me. Good. Take away home. Other questions? If not, please, short question.
Je voudrais remercier.
I would like to thank my brother president for his answer. I had an idea about what should be said, but I prefer to bring up his reaction today. Help developing countries to construct their destiny is a response to the challenge of migration, for instance. When we see the young adult, courageous people leave Africa, go to Europe, go who knows where, across the Mediterranean, and we know the number of casualties. It is only to go discover a future, to live in those cities that make them dream. It's a question of responsibility. I'm conscious. We are conscious. We shouldn't let young people work in our place. We have to take our responsibility. And I think that we start always at one point. I think I'm starting today, and I think and I have written this in capital letters, the 3 steps you talked about, and I thank you.
Let us, due to the time limit, pick up only short question. I found that the colleague behind, you raise up your hands. Last question, yeah? Okay, last. Please, your floor is yours.
Merci. Alors, je suis monsieur Yanda, je viens du Gabon. Mon intervention...
my intervention describes itself within the framework of the ONUD. So I am one of those who thinks that ONUD should employ itself to send European consultants to African countries. They should intensify their programs to delegates, using the example of the program that was being used in France. It's a cooperation program between France and African countries that came to a sort of incubator in order to promote certain African projects. So I think that that project has become very limited because there's a lack of resources. But consulting ONUD, we see European consultants come to African to give advice that costs a lot more money instead of putting in place a program in the developed countries that actually favor technology transfers. So I modestly ask ONUD to change paradigm. What we want is technology transfer, training. So let's try to abandon progressively that notion of consultants that come to teach us what we already know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I agree with you fully. So that is two terms as answer to your questions. One is the triangle cooperation. We utilize the experience from other developed countries, like in France, or you mentioned, and others, to replicate it, utilize in other countries. This is triangle cooperation, we should promote. Second key term you mentioned is the technology transfer definitely is needed for developing country as a catch-up strategy. So we could facilitate. However, it's a market economy. We could not force people to give the technology. It should be fair for all stakeholders in the market. We can facilitate it, but we cannot force it. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention. And thank all panelists to present the wonderful cases. And each of you are invited to give one sentence as the final. So.
My last sentence is to, also in response to the question, is to optimize the existing assets, because everyone has one, and we must have to develop the in partnership.
Diversity and multilateralism.
I would like to encourage UNIDO and the South-South cooperation and the triangular cooperation to maximize the mutual benefit for everybody present in this room and beyond.
On behalf of Chengdu and Shanghai, I wish they could develop further in terms of all aspects of soft and hard infrastructure, so that they can one day present themselves here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the people of the Gambia and my humble self, I thank you so very much, and thank UNIDO and UN, and please do come and invest in the Gambia. Thank you so very much. Good evening.
On behalf of the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, I would like to emphasize importance of the long-term capacity building, because the world is changing very quickly. We have so many old challenges, but we have so many new challenges. So we need all to keep up, to have enough potential actually to address this, and we can also do it together. Thank you.
South-South cooperation may create the opportunity to share the best practice among the countries for the less developed country. Thank you.
In my capacity as the moderator chair of this session, I want to raise up a takeaway. Only key message is replicate and upscale. 都要去 own job. 3L. Thank you for all audience. Thank you for your attention. Close the session. Thank you.